morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at the best Pokemon TCG deck post-rotation. We know that when EUIC hits, the European International Championships, we know that we are going into a post-rotation format, i.e. the rotation has hit, with temporal forces legal. We need to know what's good, and the good news is that we've just had about a 2,700 person tournament in Japan, but it was by a lottery. It could have been much, much bigger, and that has basically told us what the best deck is, and you know what? It's Lugia again. Yeah, it turns out Lugia is the best deck again, and look, when a deck wins a tournament that big and that competitive, I am willing to turn around and say it is the best deck. The lovely Joe over at Omnipoke has been doing a wonderful job collating the City League Championship results from over in Japan, telling us what's good over there. And Lugia's been one of the best decks, but now it's gone and won the biggest tournament in Japan. I am happy to sit here and call it the best deck until somebody proves me otherwise. And the thing is, it's Lugia with Cinccino. Yeah, that Cinccino that I thought was really, really good, and I was worried it was going to be super awkward, and it wasn't going to end up being competitive. And I told you I liked it because I'm a huge fan of Gen 5, but I was worried it wasn't actually good enough. Yeah, that's the best deck right now, apparently. Apparently Cinccino is, absolutely legit. Now, Lugia and Archeops, we've been here for a while, it's the same deal. Lugia uses the ability Summoning Star to get 2 colourless Pokemon that don't have a rulebox from your discard pile onto your bench. You go and grab 2 Archeops, and each of your Archeops can search for 2 special energy from your deck every turn and attach to one of your Pokemon. So the deal here is very simple. You need to, in the early game, go and get all of 2 of your Archeops in the discard pile, use Summoning Star, and then Archeops comes out and fires you up with energy for the rest of the game. Cool. But Lugia's not been good for a while. Lugia's not been a relevant deck for a few months now. How come post-rotation it's the best deck again? And there are a few reasons. One reason is the engine survives quite nicely, whereas a lot of other decks are struggling to set up, or at least, they've lost more of their engine than Lugia. It's not a deck that's too upset about Battle VIP Pass going away because you need search that can get your Archeops into your hand so that you can then discard it, and Battle VIP Pass obviously goes to your deck. I'm not saying it would never want to play it, but I'm saying it doesn't mourn the loss of it as much as a lot of other decks do. Partly, it's the new Cinccino coming around, which is a pretty big deal, and partly it's the metagame shifting in a way which works. Because here's the deal with Cinccino, right? 1 attack, 2 colourless energy, I'm not counting the first attack, and you do 70 damage for each special energy attached to this Pokemon. So if you've got 2 Archeops out, then all of a sudden you hit 280 basically every turn with Cinccino because you attach 4 energy with Archeops, that's 280. That's V-Star and below. That's a lot of stuff. Sometimes you will need to hit up to 330, attach from your hand. With 2 Archeops out, you can KO almost everything just by getting 4 energy from your deck and attaching them to Cinccino. But if you then attach from hand, you literally get a 1-hit KO on literally anything whatsoever with a single prize Pokemon. So not only are you 1-hit KOing anything, which incidentally is pretty good, but you are also then being able to do that with a single prize Pokemon so that your opponent is basically in a situation where they either take a single prize, not ideal, or they leave your Pokemon out, which is KOing literally anything, which they definitely can't do. And that's why this deck ends up being so good. And it's a setup deck, which is a problem, right? You need to use Summoning Star, you need to get Archeops into the discard pile, and then you need to get your Stage 1 attacker out. But we've seen that Lugia can set up in the past, and when Lugia sets up, you then got a Stage 1 attacker that KOs anything. It seems like it would have some issues with consistency. Honestly, it seems to be doing just fine for us. So, In terms of other Pokemon, there really isn't very much. There's a couple of Snorlax from Lost Origin. It does 180 for free energy. It is a decent, basic single prize attacker. It's not amazing, but if you're against single prize decks, you don't really want to be using Cinccino all the time. That's going to get kind of annoying. Snorlax will work quite nicely. And because you're using whatever energy you like, Jet Energy actually comes in beautifully here. Because one of the problems with Snorlax is that you go to sleep and you got to flip double heads to wake up, which is actually super annoying. But what you use instead here is Jet Energy, which can then jump a new Pokemon into the active, so you don't need to worry about the whole being asleep thing. And you're playing a bunch of random special energy anyway, so that'll work quite nicely. And then there's literally like Illuminion V, because it goes and searches your supporter nice and early, so you play Illuminion V. That's it. That's a deck in terms of Pokemon. The special energy is interesting, of course, because we've seen that this can make a huge impact on the Lugia builds, and is literally all colorless. Lugia attacks for colorless, Cinccino attacks for colorless, Snorlax attacks for colorless. There is no colored energy here. So we're using double turbo energy. Double turbo energy is not really for Cinccino. It actually kind of messes up some of the numbers. Now, going from 350 to 330 is not a big deal. You never realistically really need to hit above 330. But going from 280 down to 260, if you got 4 energy on, is actually super annoying. There's stuff like Giratina, for instance, which is huge right now, which has 280, and then like opposing Snorlax. So going 280 to 260 is actually super duper annoying. You don't really want double turbo on Cinccino. It will be fine for a bunch of matchups, but just be warned, it's actually really annoying. That's largely for Snorlax, because a lot of the time 160 will be enough. You're taking out single prizes, that'll be fine. I've already mentioned Jet Energy. Jet Energy's nice. We've got Gift Energy here. You whack it on a Cinccino. When Cinccino gets KO'd, you draw until you've got 7 cards in your hand. As previously mentioned, your opponent doesn't really have a choice. They have to take out Cinccino, or else you can sweep their entire board. And then this just means that you've got a bunch of cards in your hand. This is your draw engine a lot of the time. And because you're searching it out the deck with Archeops, you know you're going to draw into it. It's fine. We got Mist Energy coming in here. Now, this is one that we're going to be getting in Temporal Forces. It's not one we've got yet. It prevents effective attacks. It means your opponent can't use special conditions, auto KOs, get rid of energy, etc. It's all right. It's quite nice. We've then got one Therapeutic Energy, which actually stops special conditions. But unlike with Mist Energy, it will recover and then make you immune, rather than Mist Energy, which prevents effective attacks, which is not quite the same thing. Also, Therapeutic Energy, the way to remember it is, it stops special conditions which would stop you attacking. It doesn't stop things like Poison and Burn, which just do damage, but still let you attack at the same time. And then we got a single copy here of V-Guard Energy, which reduces damage done from Pokemon Vs. It's not that relevant, because Cinccino's going to get one-hit KO'd a lot, and you Lugia a lot of the time, you know, it's not really going to be in the active spot, and you're not always going to be facing against Pokemon V, etc. But there are going to be times where, you know, for instance, Giratina hits 280 against your 280. So if you want to make sure that Giratina cannot get a one-hit KO on your Lugia, you just leave a V-Guard Energy on your bench Lugia, and it means your opponent cannot gust for an easy 2 prizes, because they're actually going to be 30 damage short. It's little interactions like that. It's not the most important part of the deck by a long shot, but it's little plays here and there, and this is a little play kind of thing. It is not what you're generally trying to do, but like I say, there are going to be some matchups, like Giratina, which is very big right now, where they really want to try and gust and KO a Lugia for an easy 2 prizes. This is going to mean it's awkward for them to do so. And then like Mist Energy will be a similar kind of thing, but against Roaring Moon, it prevents effective attacks, so all of a sudden Roaring Moon can't gust up and get an easy 2 prizes with your Frenzied Gouging, because that's an effect of an attack, it's an auto KO. Now, in terms of the rest of it, one of the most important things we need to point out here is Master Ball. Simple as that. The A spec of the first winning deck in a huge tournament in Japan since Apex came back was Master Ball. Literally just lets you search for a Pokemon. We had it last time. It wasn't that good. Difference here is, as I keep saying, Lugia is a deck where you need to set up. And part of that setup is getting 2 Archeops in the discard pile early. This will let you go and search for that. And it really is that simple. Yes, there are quote-unquote better ace specs, but not in Lugia. Pokemon searches everything. And if we have a look at the deck list, we've got 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Actually, 4 copies of Ultra Ball is great, because not only does it search out your Pokemon, but it also lets you discard. And obviously, you need to get your Archeops into the discard pile. So Ultra Ball's pulling double duty here, and it's actually really kind of awesome. We've got Capturing Aroma, which isn't going to see play in many decks, but flip a coin. If heads, you get an evolution Pokemon, Archeops. If tails, you get a basic Pokemon. I don't know, probably Lugia, or maybe Cinccino. Either way, it's item-based Pokemon search which goes to your hand, and as I keep explaining, you need to get it into your hand. We got Great Ball, which looks at the top 7 cards of your deck, grabs a Pokemon and puts it into, you ready for this? Your hand, which again makes it really good. And this isn't perfect, right? Because you're not always going to get what you want. You're not always going to find the Pokemon you want. You're not always going to find a Pokemon at all, frankly. But because you have absolutely got to get these Pokemon into your hand, stuff like this becomes a really good shout. We're even playing a Jacq here from Scarlet and Violet. Lets you search for 2 evolution Pokemon and put them into your hand. We're only playing 1 because basically this is Luminion bait. This is, it's turn 1 going second. Luminion for Jacq. Jacq then goes and gets you your 2 Archeops. And then you can hopefully Ultra Ball them away and you're off and rolling. You're playing 1 copy of Jacq, and it's basically there just to be searched out with Luminion. And then worth noting that we do have a couple copies of Serena here. Lets you discard up to 3 cards from your hand and then draw until you've got 5. This is just another option for getting cards in the discard, which, as mentioned, is something you kind of need to do with your Archeops, get them in the discard pile ready to roll. This is a deck that for a while now has been, It's just not been a particularly good deck. But because of Cinccino, and because of the fact that we're not losing the same cards as everybody else that we really desperately want to play, and because of the fact that we apparently can set it up and it can one-hit KO everything, all of a sudden Lugia just became the deck to beat. And if you're preparing for EUIC, keep this in mind. This just won the big tournament in Japan. This is absolutely legit. Right, that's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me if this is a deck you've got on your radar. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Lawasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Smash Cafe, who are very lovely people. They've helped me out with a couple of things. They've been supporters for a little while. They seem absolutely lovely. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.